Hey, today I'm talking about 3 westerns all starring Paul Newman and all directed by Martin Ritt. And the names of those 3 movies are HUD, Hombre, and The Outrage. First up is HUD. This is a 1963 film that I crazy loved. The basic premise is Paul Newman plays HUD, this asshole alcoholic rancher who's constantly just making trouble for everyone, but also he's really charming and delightful and everyone kind of gets along with him, except for his father who truly despises him. And what's so fascinating about this film is that there is no grayness to HUD's character. He is definitively a bad guy who does bad stuff. He does some truly atrocious things. But yet, he's so damn charming and charismatic that I could forgive the atrocities, or at least forget about them, because I'm just so caught up in those beautiful blue eyes and that $1 million smile. Oh my god. But like, I don't really forgive him because he is just the worst, but I'm just so distracted by his prettiness and niceness and whatnot that it just all gets pushed to the side. And like, that is such an impossible thing to write. Like, how do you write such a bad person, but it's also you love them? So like, kudos to the writers 100%. But for sure, a lot of this has to do with Paul Newman's acting. Like, there is no doubt that even with the same script, a lesser actor could not have masterfully balanced this character as well as Paul Newman did. And like, his whole performance is just so layered and nuanced in general. Both because like, he is a character filled with so much grief and guilt and pain, but yet the whole time he's so blasé, he's so whatever, just going with the flow, man. And it's like, those are 2 polar opposites. Those are 2 things that do not go together, and yet he is doing both of those things. I don't know how he managed to do it, but yet Paul Newman did. He without a doubt did, and it was such an incredible performance that I cannot rave about enough. And then on top of that, the father's hatred for HUD is so unique and interesting, because HUD definitely did a really awful thing that you assume that's why the father hates him, but it's really more the core of his being is who the father hates, which is just so interesting and something I would love to see fully dissected from like a psychology point of view, because that's just so interesting. I won't spoil the exact reason, because like, this film is so incredibly good. It is 100% well worth a watch. Paul Newman gives a once-in-a-lifetime performance that is without a doubt worth checking out, but the whole film in and of itself is just so masterfully done that it is definitely worth a watch. So yeah, no, crazy love this movie, wholeheartedly recommend it. Next up is Hombre. This is a 1967 film, and the basic premise is Paul plays this man who was raised by Native American people for his whole life, but he does have connections to white people. And one day, sort of relative of his dies and he inherits his property, so now he has to deal with the property, and that eventually leads to like this stagecoach cross-country adventure thing. It's more complicated than that, but it's again really good. Firstly, it is just straight up a gorgeous film. There are so many incredible landscapes. This was definitely either masterfully restored or just perfectly preserved, because it just top to bottom, every single shot is a painting, no doubt. And I really loved Paul Newman's performance. Like, I always love his performances in general, but in here he's so interesting because he's constantly stoic and then mean on top of that. Like, he's a dick to pretty much everyone. Rightfully so, because everyone hates him because he's basically Native American. But yet at his core, he definitely has the correct moral compass. So like, he'll do stuff in a mean, kind of bullying sort of way, or just not really respond to people, but he always has the right morals at the center of everything. So like, you almost dislike him, but at his core, he's the hero. I kind of compare it to like, he treats everyone like they're children. In particular, oftentimes he'll teach them lessons, like a kid who is going to touch a hot stove. He just lets them touch the hot stove so that they learn that that was a dumb thing to to do. Because yeah, the other people in the party make so many mistakes, and he wants them to learn. I really love the variety of character. There's so many characters in this, and they all have their own thing going on, but no one ever really got lost in the group dynamic. Everyone was able to stand on their own and have their own little moments. And I enjoyed the amount of women in this too. They were all interesting in their own unique ways. So yeah, no, this is another good, solid film. You want a good, interesting Western that asks some interesting moral questions. Yeah, no, definitely check this one out. It is well worth a watch. And lastly is The Outrage. This is a 1964 film, and the basic premise is this is a remake of the Akira Kurosawa film Rashomon. So the basic premise is at a rainy train station, a group of people are discussing this trial that just occurred, and in particular the different perspectives over the event. So there was a murder, and so we get the perspective of the outlaw who was involved, the woman who survives, and then two more perspectives that I won't spoil. And yeah, it was an interesting little movie. I've seen the original. I like the original a good solid amount. This definitely doesn't reach the heights of the original, but it is not a bad adaptation by any means. If we're going with a number scale type of thing, I would call the original an 8. This one is a 6. So it is a notable step down, but like there still is good quality to this. There are things to like about it. If you're gonna watch just one between The Outrage and Rashomon, go with Rashomon. Well worth it. But if you watch this one, you're definitely not in for a bad experience by any means. I would say the main thing about this one is it just felt too long. Like each of the different perspectives that you see, I feel like they just went on for too long. We were just getting too much information each time. A decent chunk of the information we were getting was just not necessary. Like it wasn't adding anything to the story or the characters. It just dragged. But the story is definitely still interesting, and the performances are definitely solid. William Shatner is in this in the framing device. I liked him, and they definitely made good use of the framing device. I tend to not like framing devices. So often they just forget about it, but here they kept cutting back to it, and it definitely added a lot of commentary to the overall story. So yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was fine, and I would recommend it, but I would more so recommend the original. You can handle Japanese, you can handle subtitles. Just go watch the original, and then if you're really curious, you can come back to this one. So yeah, no, it is a nice little film that I would recommend, but more so the original. Alrighty, now for today's rankings, first up we got HUD sitting at number 1 in the really like section, and then after that is Hombre sitting at number 8, again in the really like section, and then bringing up the rear is The Outrage sitting at number 20 in the liked section. And this is out of a total of 33 old movies so far this year.